Welcome back to TYT Sports. Continuing our What Could Have Been series. We already have put up for you guys the Kobe for LeBron trade that started circulating about a week ago. We broke it down, discussed it, and decided that Kwame Brown would have been MVP. I don't know why I'm on the Kwame Brown train this morning. Regardless, we move forward because in 2007, Kevin Durant wasn't the first overall pick. And the Portland Trail Blazers decided that Greg Oden, one of the best prospects in that draft, was going to be the first overall selection, and then a plentitude, I'm not even sure what the word, a multitude, a variety of injuries just plagued this man's career, and unfortunately, we saw barely any glimpses of Greg Oden. So let's take a look at that 2007 draft, first of all, and you can see how it broke down. One of my favorite things to do is to look back on and do like the redraft. How could have it worked out? And you see, I mean, Greg Oden, Portland Trail Blazers out of Ohio State, was the first overall pick. Kevin Durant out of Texas went to the Seattle Supersonics. This is before they were the Thunder. And Al Horford, a great third pick overall to the Atlanta Hawks from Florida. Mike Conley, Jeff Green, Yi Jianlian, Corey Brewer, Brandon Wright, Joakim Noah, and Spencer Hawes. It just shows how stacked that Florida team was, man, when they were in college. Back-to-back for Billy Donovan, obviously. So, Andre, if the Portland Trailblazers took Kevin Durant instead of Greg Oden, and the Seattle Supersonics took Greg Oden instead of Kevin Durant, what happens?
So a few things. For one, Greg Oden wasn't the only bad luck that Portland had because, at the time, Brandon Roy was their stud, but his knees were just, running out of cartilage. It was just dripping on the court. So, if they would have taken Durant, he becomes their immediate centerpiece. And maybe they could have had some success before Roy was done, but I don't think that would have been enough to win a title. So then you start kind of looking to the next generation. So they end up with Damian Lillard. And essentially, you would be looking at a team now that, with Lillard instead of Westbrook, you could argue Lillard fits better next to Durant. They could almost have a bit of a Golden State kind of feel because you'd have two ridiculous three-point shooters that could also work both on and off the ball. So, and then end up with LaMarcus Aldridge too. So maybe Aldridge doesn't go. So yeah, you start talking about Lillard, Durant, and Aldridge. That could be an interesting trifecta. They might have been able to make some noise in the Western Conference over these last couple years. Whereas Seattle, if they take Greg Oden and everything happens the same way, so he doesn't get to stay. Then in those next two drafts after Oden, they take Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Well, probably Westbrook and Harden is the most dynamic backcourt in the NBA right now, and you're looking to see, can they just be exciting enough to make something happen?
It would have been the most dynamic backcourt that one couldn't grow facial hair and the other can't stop growing facial hair.
Exactly. You combine them and they're perfect.
Exactly. Give one half of a beard. So one of the interesting things with these what could have been conversations is we don't know how everything else would break down. The ripple effect or the butterfly effect that would have happened from just that one move could change the entire landscape of an entire draft. And then it changes the entire landscape of future drafts and future games and future schedules and everything, right? So the best way to keep it within a hypothetical realm of logic, I guess, is to say, sure, LaMarcus Aldridge is still on the Blazers, and they have Wes Matthews and Batum, and now we're 6-7 years into a Kevin Durant Blazers team. And look, the Blazers threatened multiple times in the playoffs with just Lillard and Aldridge. And Lillard and Aldridge are not Kevin Durant. So if you combine that trifecta, that's a dangerous, dangerous team. I'm not going to go out. I'll go out on a limb. They make the finals. They take the Cavs for 6 or 7 games. So we don't know how all of these subsequent effects would have happened. If Durant gets picked first overall, the landscape of the NBA changes. We don't know what happens with their season if the Blazers and all the draft picks for the next 6-7 years. So I just keep it within, or try to keep it within, the hypothetical realm of logic. I'm making up all these science terms. I hope I sound smart for doing it. But I would say, sure, LaMarcus Aldridge and Damian Lillard and Kevin Durant are the trifecta there. And like I said, as I was doing this before, that trifecta alone could win an NBA championship, could contend for one, because Aldridge and Lillard threatened in the Western Conference the past couple of years, where the Western Conference was already stacked as it is. So we don't know what happens. but we can debate what happens. So leave what you think would have happened between the Kevin Durant Blazers in the comments section below. Does he team up with Aldridge and Durant and Lillard and Wes Matthews and Batum? They don't get traded and it becomes a frickin' train that wins a championship, or do they just get knocked out by Greg Popovich and the Spurs? Who knows? It's always the clear one to go to. Make sure to follow Andre at Professor DRZ on Twitter. Check out the RotoWire Hoops Lab. Andre did 2 great columns, not just because TYT Sports is in them, but because they're also great columns. In regards to the top backcourts and top front courts of all time, his opinions and thoughts on them are fantastic, and he goes into even more detail about his top 10 list that he made with a couple of other very smart, much smarter than me, basketball minds out on the internet. Check that out, please, over at RotoWire. Like, favorite, subscribe, come back for more hoops content, and we'll see you next week.